it's a punter, place kicker, man, he goes out of his way to explain to the general public, because really the key to Belichick in a press conference, you have to ask him a really football-related question about the upcoming game. And they asked him about Aaron Rodgers and what he thought. And, man, he went on and on as one of the greatest quarterbacks. And he said, I faced a lot of greats, but he's one of the greatest challenges that I've ever faced. So in doing that, I go back to some other games that he coached against great players. Most recently, Peyton Manning. And he's always had a very, very aggressive attitude. Not as far as defensively how he's going to go after these guys, but how he's going to play offense with Tom Brady. He will go for it more on fourth down. So I'm saying that to say this. McCarthy's got to be extra aggressive, because we know that New England's going to be aggressive. So when you go against them, you can't play conservative. You can't play scared. People will talk about, oh, man, you can't turn the ball over. Well, let me tell you what you got to do. You can't not take chances. Right. And you got to try to throw the ball down the field. You got to try to make big plays. But the most important thing has to be scoring in the red zone. When Green Bay gets in the red zone, because they will. It's easy to move the ball between the 20s on the Pats year after year. But where are they excellent? That's in red zone defense, and the Pats have to be able to get 7. So if they are able to get in the red zone 4 times, they got to come away with at least 4 touchdowns.
I think this game actually sets up relatively well for the Packers, as well as a game in New England could set up in this regard. We don't know what Gronk's status is. I would be surprised if Sony Michel plays. He's been limited in practice all week, and this year, the Pats have had 3 great offensive games. All of those games were great Sony Michel games. When they've been one-dimensional, when they have not had a dominant or reliable rushing attack, they haven't cracked 30 points. Now, there's the game where they scored 38 against the Bears, but 2 of those were special teams touchdowns.
Yeah, so offensively,
they've been in the mid-20s. Additionally, you know what I think Green Bay can look to? They don't have to look back to years back of film. Monday night. The Bills did a good job defensively against New England. Yes. Now, the Bills' offense is a disaster, so they weren't able to take advantage of doing a good job. But the Pats didn't score a touchdown through 3 quarters. The Bills did a good job of keeping them out of the end zone when they got to the red zone. The Pats kicked 2 25-yard field goals in that game. That means they were inside the 10 and couldn't score. So I do think there is a template that Green Bay can take from their own success last week against a potent offense in the Rams, from their own success last week offensively against a defense that's better than New England's, and from the fact that if New England doesn't have the hammer of Sony Michel, we have seen this year where Brady will turn the ball over, that their offense is not quite as deadly as it's been in years past.
What about with Gronk? You mentioned we don't know if Gronk is going to play. He didn't practice yesterday. How does that change the matchup if he's not on the field?
Well, one thing's going to change is the Sony Michel Gronk absent is huge for their offense. Gronk would probably be their second best offensive lineman if he was just an offensive lineman. Now, with some injuries, his blocking hadn't been as good as it's been in years past, but he is still a great pass protector, great in the run game. So now you take him and Sony Michel, who's going to be their main runner? James White has not been a featured running back, not in high school, not in college. So I just believe that the combination of both these players potentially be out, it really affects Tom where he wants to go to. And to me, Gronk has not been able to, even if he plays, he hasn't played to the level where I need to double team him. So for me, I'm going to give him single coverage. So even if he does play in the game, he hadn't been as effective. He hadn't been a deep threat. Did come up with the big pass play, great spectacular catch down the sideline in last week's game in Buffalo. But that's where I'm going to take my chance. They do miss Gronk. He's a huge part of their running game, and he's their best wide receiver.
So here's something that, whether Gronk plays or not, that I think Green Bay has to focus on. This shocked me when I saw it this morning. The Patriots have committed the 7th most turnovers in football this year. 13 turnovers. Here are the only teams in the league who've committed more turnovers than the Patriots. Tell me what they all have in common. Tampa, Buffalo, San Francisco, Jacksonville, Arizona, and the Jets All of those teams either have a disaster at quarterback or a rookie at quarterback. The Patriots are next on that turnover list. That is so rare for them. One of the reasons they have had this sustained level of success is every year they do a great job of taking care of the football. You remember post-Deflategate, we saw, oh wait, they never fumble the football. Like, in addition to Brady not throwing too many interceptions. So I think this is a game that Green Bay has to win the turnover battle. I think this is a game that, to your point, they have to get 7 every time they're down in the red zone. But the other thing is, and we don't lead with this commentary because it's the obvious commentary, it's what everyone's going to say, Aaron Rodgers got to be great. How does Green Bay beat good teams? Aaron Rodgers has to be great. There's been one game in the last year, that 365 days, that the Packers have had a running back go for 100 yards. Once. Prior to last week, their season high for one player was 65 yards. Last week, they had an 86-yard rusher. Like, you know, for the Packers offense to be able to score with New England, they're going to have to do it through the air with Aaron Rodgers.
Cece, put in perspective, with that being said, I know they're not on the field at the same time, but put into perspective this game, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, what it means to a player, understanding just how special it is with this matchup.
Oh, they know. Because Aaron has an arrogance about him, and we see it all the time. Tom Brady realized he's the great, but realized his teammate is still wet. But even in his interview earlier in the week, he said Aaron Rodgers' play at quarterback has even inspired him. So he's just said, just talking to a lot of quarterbacks, they're inspired by watching Aaron Rodgers play. And me being the greatest quarterback that there is, he's one of the guys that I look to who inspires me to play better, because he doesn't have the physical gifts, but he operates at quarterback as high as levels we've seen. So I know Tom Brady takes pride in everything he does, but I can guarantee he knows this is very rare. Might be the last time he ever sees Aaron Rodgers. And I know the last time Tom Brady, he'd like to leave a mark. He talked about that a lot with Peyton Manning. He had a lot of matchups with Peyton Manning. So I believe Tom has a lot of personal pride in what he's doing, and this will be an extra special Sunday even for Brady.
We almost got to see these two in a Super Bowl. The Pats-Seahawks Super Bowl is almost the Pats-Packers Super Bowl. Packers had a big lead late, onside kick, overtime loss ends up depriving us of that opportunity. Because they're in opposite conferences, they only play once every 4 years. Since Rodgers become the starter, this would be the 3rd time they played. But the 15-1 season for Green Bay, the one game Aaron Rodgers missed, was the one game they were supposed to play the Patriots. So this will be, unless they play in the Super Bowl in the next couple of years, the last time these two guys ever play. I don't care what Brady says. He's not playing 4 more years.
Right, absolutely.
This will be the last time we see these two guys play. And both of them, I'm sure, deep down, don't love the comparison to the other guy. Like, Brady can say all these things, but I'm sure deep down, when he's talking to Giselle, when he's talking to his closest friends, man, I've been to 8 Super Bowls. Does this guy have 8 playoff wins? Like, I'm sure that's Brady's feeling, and I'm sure Rodgers deep down's like, do you guys watch the games? Come on. Who's better? So do you watch the games? Like, give me a break. And so in that regard, they're obviously not going to be able to, it's not a safety against a quarterback or a D-end against a quarterback. They're not going to be able to go up against each other in that regard. But for both of these guys who carry themselves with a very deserved ego and confidence, this is as big of a regular season matchup as there can be.
Yeah. All right. Coming up, it's going to be fun. Can Drew Brees and the Saints outscore the high-flying Rams? That's next on First Things First.
Now, Sarah, what does Giselle say to Tom?
I don't know. That's what I want to be like.
You're right.
Tell me, right? The little pillow talk.
Will Greer and the Mountaineers. Sam Ellinger and the Longhorns. Unbelievable conference elites go head-to-head in a showdown of Big 12 gunslingers. West Virginia, Texas, tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern on Fox.
Hops are like grapes, special conditions of terroir, of soil, the growing conditions of climate and sunlight will produce unique flavors. A lager beer should be fruity, floral, and the flavors that we want in Boston Lager can only come from hops grown in this little piece of ground.
It's open.
Hi. This is amazing. With moderate to severe ulcerative colitis.
Are you okay?
Even when I was there, I never knew when my symptoms would keep us apart. So I talked to my doctor about Humira. I learned Humira can help get and keep UC under control when other medications haven't worked well enough. And it helps people achieve control that lasts, so you could experience few or no symptoms.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, control is possible.
The king has gone crazy, making 10 nuggets just $1. Crazy, right? Crazy crispy, crazy juicy. 10 nuggets made of crazy delicious white meat for just $1. Now that's a crazy deal. Enjoy 10 golden nuggets for just $1, only at Burger King.
That's Gillette Clear Gel. It goes on clear and keeps you fresh all day. And it doesn't leave white marks on your shirt. Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant.
There has seriously never been a better time to try our Sprint network.
Because right now you can get unlimited for just $24 per month per line for 5 lines. It includes Hulu and mobile hotspot.
We need to shout this deal from the rooftops.
Yeah. Sprint's new unlimited plan. Best deal ever.
And it's all on a network built for unlimited.
Switch to Sprint's Unlimited for just $24 per month per line for 5 lines. And for a limited time, lease a Samsung Galaxy Note 9 for just $20 per month and save over $390.
This is the not-for-sale Kia Forte drift car with a blistering top speed and excessive amount of horsepower. And this is the totally redesigned 2019 Kia Forte. With an 8-inch touchscreen and professional race car driver Colette Davis to demo it. It doesn't have to make sense.
When you rent a car on Turo, you're renting from a real person. No shuttle rides, no waiting in line, and no wandering a car lot. This is your rental counter. And this is you, already on the road. With Turo, this is compact, standard, and full size. This is better than your typical car rental. This is Turo. Download the app today.
You know that expensive watch you always wanted? It only cost a fraction of the price to make.
We thought that was crazy, so we made our own watch company.
We created unique watch designs, launched online at fair prices, developed new styles, shipped to over 160 countries around the world, and created a community. Now, you don't have to overpay for a nice watch.
Instead, join the movement.
Shop now at mvmt.com.
First Things First is sponsored by Gillette, the best a man can get.
We'll get to Rams Saints in a second, but first, Thursday night football, Nick Mullins throws to Greg Kittle, who makes the one-handed grab.
This was a great play by Kittle. There were a lot of big Niners plays that were about the Raiders not being ready to play.
Didn't we talk about George Kittle yesterday?
Well, Greg Kittle is who I think we talked about.
Didn't we talk about him yesterday?
Yes, him too.
Yeah, I just reading the bar, what the bar says. What does that say?
His name's George. I screwed it up.
Oh, okay.
I screwed it up.
Oh, my bad. Whoever. We talked about Kittle.
He's having the best season
former
anytime in PFF.
I blew that.
To the NBA, I started it all. Russell Westbrook breaks out the Sham God move against the Hornets. How do you like that?
Oh, the Sham God. Oh, I love that.
Every night he's treating us with a little, we're going to rock the baby. Oh, let's give him a little Sham God.
Now they just need to get the wins, though.
Oh, what is that? Look at him.
That's one of the reasons why you like him.
Yep.
College basketball, St. John's, LJ Figueroa delivers a thunderous putback jam in an exhibition game versus Maryville.
I'm going to go to some of these St. John's games this year.
Okay.
I didn't take advantage of that last year, being in New York City. I'm going to go to some of the St. John's.
I'm calling their opener Tuesday.
Oh. Well, there you go. Excited to see
You should come on out. Come support.
There we go. I gotta look at my appointment book. I'm in Brooklyn. I'm at the Garden. Man, let me see if I can squeeze in some college basketball.
Moving on to America's Game of the Week, the undefeated Rams heading to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Two of the NFL's best offenses facing off, trying to secure prime playoff position. Here's Drew Brees on facing off against Los Angeles.
It's exciting. It's a great challenge. But here's the thing. It's one game, you know, and yes, it's a big game. Yes, it's against a great opponent who is undefeated and is playing exceptionally well right now. But for us, it's just another opportunity for us to take the next step to continue to improve. I like the track that we're on, but we can still get better.
We know what to expect. We know, you know the talent they got. You know, we got a great game plan. We've been putting in today, and you know, come Sunday, we're gonna just gotta put it all on paper, or put it all together, and go out there and you know, play our game.
All right, Nick, which team has the edge on Sunday?
Listen,
the Saints, the Rams.
Vegas says there is no edge. The Saints were 1-point favorites. Now the Rams are 1-point favorites. It's probably going to settle on a pick 'em. I think by the slightest of margins, I'll say the New Orleans Saints because of where the game is. I think the Rams are the better complete team. But one of the reason why, the biggest reason why I believe the Rams are the only undefeated team in football is Todd Gurley. And this is a stat that I saw it. I didn't believe it. I had our great statistician, Dusty, triple check it.
Sometimes he's great.
And today he's been great so far. We've been on the air 17 minutes. We'll see how long it goes. You know who has the #1 rush defense in all of football? The Saints. That's shocking. That is something you would never expect. And so if you can even just a little bit slow down Todd Gurley, then the Rams become a beatable football team. I think the Saints have gone through a tougher schedule. I think the Saints have historically, the years they've been good, the reason they've been good is they have been unbeatable at home. And for all those reasons, again, I'm not going to go to war with anyone that says they think the Rams are slightly in a better position. I think it's very close, but I think the Saints have the edge, and the Saints know this game is wildly important for them. The Rams have a very soft next few weeks. The Saints know that they end the year, see? Carolina, Pittsburgh, Carolina. They better have some wins stacked. They also know that if they want any shot of having the 1 seed in the conference, this is a must-win game. For all those reasons, I give the slight edge to New Orleans in what I think could be the best game of the weekend.
If you're a New Orleans fan, this is what you should be concerned at. Even though you do have that #1 rush defense, this is the most difficult challenge that they will face because the Rams do a lot of motion. They predominantly play one formation, 3 wide receivers and Todd Gurley looking right at you. They do a lot of different things, but they really want to run the ball at you, Sarah. It's a lot of hocus pocus, a lot of smoke and mirrors, but ultimately, as our guy Sting said, they just want to kiss you right in the mouth. Bam! They want to run downhill and be able to be physical. So I just believe in this game because Dennis Allen, I had conversations with him. He felt like their defense was going to come around after getting off to a very shaky start in week #1 and week #2. But Davenport, their #1 rookie that they traded up for, he's out. Him being injured. He was playing some spectacular football, starting to find his way as a rookie. Now, on the positive standpoint, Lattimore, their cornerback, who got off to a rough start, he is playing the best football. Coming off the game last week against the Vikings, probably his second-best game of the season. So there's some things I'm concerned about defensively. They're going to miss Davenport, and you can't have Lattimore in too much man-to-man. And what they're facing with the Rams, I don't think that they have the answer for it defensively. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting games we've seen in the 18th season.
With all that score, I mean, does that change the approach of Sean Payton or Sean McVay or how they combat what they're up against?
We did see last week when the Rams offense was stalling, the aggression on that fake punt.
Yes.
We saw it in the first half. They didn't wait for it to be panic time. They said, no, we're going to try to give ourselves a jolt right now. Now, that ended up not even being one of the 2 biggest special teams plays the Rams made. We know Sean Payton is not afraid to be aggressive. We know Sean Payton will trust Drew Brees, trust his offense, maybe use Taysom Hill in some odd formations or on those 4th and short situations. I just think the Saints go into this game, and they know if we lose this game, our ceiling is